home sideline, number 39, Bonafonte. Back to number 23, and over to number 3, Frangipane. Disc is moving down, quick movement between the handlers, and a big throw out into open space, and comfortably received by Shout player number 43, who is Casarini. Lovely play there.
That was awesome. I mean, you can just kind of see the CUSB team just doing what we see, just using their energy to their advantage, just moving it up the sidelines. Kind of once you see Frangipane get it in her hands and just continuously putting it up to the line. And as we saw with Casarini in the back of the end zone, just looking open. Again, that's kind of what we expected from this team, just the energy, the passion, and they've got some pace to them, I think. I mean, as you can see in this replay, just bing, bam, moving and grooving up the line.
Wow.
Yeah,
very, very comfortable just to move the disc quickly. They know where they're looking to receive it. They know that once you have the disc in your hand, next player will be there ready to receive it quickly and move it forward. And always keeping an eye out for if there's space in that end zone and if someone has anticipated what's coming up, as Casarini did very nicely there, ready to receive in space, nice comfortably for the first score, which is a hold for Shout.
Exactly. Now it's going to be interesting to see kind of if this London Masters team can get in their groove as well, put some points on the board, just kind of get in their groove. Like we said, it's always kind of having the pressures and everything when you're being streamed for that game. So we're going to see them come out comfortably on offense.
Yeah. A pull there by Siebert for a CUSB, and that's going to be bricked. It's got outside of the field before the end zone line, and it hasn't touched the field, so they're bringing it up to the brick mark. That's Nichols on disc. And it looks like Shout have set up in a zone. They've got a force on the mark and 3 people in the cup. Nichols to Burbage. Nichols again. Back to Burbage in the middle. Through the, unfortunate. Big play by Sharman to try and recover that. Quickly moving the disc across for Shout to number 17, Loli, and back across to number 5. Disc is in the middle of the field. I think looking for a bigger throw there, but that came out a little bit low. Mafti picking up, quick shot down deep to Claire Sharman, who comfortably receives that, despite pressure from 2 Shout players.
What an energetic point right there. I mean, we saw back-to-back turns. Again, it was interesting to see kind of Shout coming into that cup and making the London Masters Ultimate throw that turn, which is exactly what they wanted, but then right away just kind of throwing the disc away. And one of the things that we talked about, also the players we talked about when we were looking with the coaches, is Claire Sharman, just as an energetic young player within this kind of London Masters squad and just using her legs to her advantage. As you can see right there, just got up. Look at that, full extension. Yeah. That's amazing on her part.
She's a very athletic player, and I think she's going to be a key person to look out for in this game, as someone who can match that kind of energy from Shout. I think the zone defense is an interesting move by Shout. I mean, as we said before, this London Masters Ultimate side have a lot of handlers, a lot of very experienced handlers on that side, which maybe would suggest that they might find working around a zone to be a little bit more comfortable. In that case, we saw them try and go through the middle, which didn't pay off. But yeah, a kind of a solid effort to get that defense back and get the score. So the pull has gone up. It landed inside the field but rolled out, so it will need to be taken from the sideline where it went out.
And initially I thought Lily Hong just kind of underthrew it, but it looks like that roll gave them good position.
Yeah, I think that's worked out well for them. Into the middle of the field with number 15. Received by Scazieri, and the disc is high. Big defensive play. Oof. Number 31, Anna Chesky, looked to see if they could recover that, but unfortunately weren't able to get there.
And Alice Polkan right there getting up 2 for that D. I mean, you always want to catch your Ds, but if you can get the D first and then worry about catching it, that's nice.
Yeah, so here Alperin on the disc. Back to Huang. Comfortably moving the disc back and forth there. This is back to Thompson. A high release to Alperin on the home sideline. Into the middle to Thompson. A gentle toss into the middle to Ford. Over to the far sideline to Gainey, and into the middle to Juan. LMU comfortably moving the disc, just finding that space, that calm offense that we talked about. Lily Huang back to Jenna Thompson. Pick called. Weddle receiving the disc comfortably under. Pass back to Thompson to replay that, as the pick was called before that disc went up.
And what I can see here too, Rachel, it's interesting to see Shout coming on it looks like the cup again on offense and defense. Maybe that's a different strategy that they wanted to implement for this tournament.
Yeah, Gainey now on the side, on the front of the end zone line, back to Thompson. Calmly surveying, seeing what the options are. Lots of defensive pressure from Shout here. Oh, and a beautiful toss into the end zone for Alperin to pick up the score. Very, very confident play there in terms of trusting the line that your teammate has taken into the end zone, despite the fact that there were definitely some CUSB Shout players who were also hot on her tail.
Exactly. Like we said there, too, just to kind of go back to our pregame chat with Jenna Thompson, again, just having that cool, calm offense. Like I said, it's just stone cold. You could just see it. She knew exactly what she was looking for, and just the sweet upline pass for the end zone for Maria Alpert. But like I said here, too, you kind of see both teams just kind of getting their, I guess, energy balanced out right there. Again, Shout kind of surprising me, honestly, with this cup early on. It's a hot day out here. You see the flies, you see the bugs going around, and just that zone can tire you out. And especially if you're the London Masters Ultimate, excuse me, you can see just kind of how they facilitate around, kind of break that cup, and you make these Shout women work. It's just like, it's hot, so legs will be tired soon, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great team to test a zone against. Yeah. As we said, they're going to be a really strong side that are able to move the disc around and able to kind of find those gaps in the zone. So as a team that are preparing for a big competition, I think it's a pretty solid strategy if they're seeking to test that out and potentially find holes in that defense. Okay, so Shout with the disc now, looking for a dump pass back to Bonafante. Bonafante putting in some fakes and looks to dump it. Or unfortunately not able to hold on to that. Did manage to get a hand to that, number 29, who's not on the roster, unfortunately, so I'm not able to give you a name. Immediate turnover back to Shout, and looking for that deep shot. Two Shout players, but are they able to get there? Are they able to get there? Big play.
Wow.
Massive rundown, and then athletic catch from number 19, Sophia Scaziari. Amazing play there, great effort, great option as well. You know, they received the disc and saw that there were two Shout players, nice and open space with nothing but open space in front of them, and put a great disc up. And
that was awesome too. I mean, as you see right here, kind of the turn from Shout immediately, that's exactly what they didn't want to happen, especially with good field position right there. But as you saw the London Masters team just kind of throw the disc away, like we said before, that's kind of what you have to look out for with these Italian teams. It's just they pick it up and they toss that thing deep. And as you can see there, Sophia Scazzarisi just going deep and grabbing it just with a nice layout right here. Look at that. Leaving her feet, securing the catch, textbooked right there.
Yeah, that was a really nice job to kind of read it. And I think you could see as it was coming in, there was a kind of a moment of, is it that little bit too far? Is this going to be one of those fingertips but not quite able to get it? But she put her head down, she hustled to get there and secured the catch nicely. So a great point for Shout. And that has us at 2-2 on the scoreboard.
And a nice little highlight for her too right there, added to the clip.
Love to see it. All right, that was Shout with the pull and Mafty's pick up. Ooh. Thompson going to ground to secure that one. Back to Mafty. This Shout zone still putting them under pressure. Alperin in the center. Back to Thompson on the sideline and into Bevan. Back to Alperin and then across into the middle to Pagrin. Gainey with the disc, moving towards the end zone, looking to the end zone, throws to Weddle, comfortably received for a hold for LMU, London's Masters Ultimate. Quite comfortably, I think.
Yeah, that was really cheeky. I mean, again, we expected kind of the veteran cut through the zone, but that time just looked effortless. Once they got that pass up the line, it looked like Jenna Thompson just kind of threw it, and it just cut through it, just sliced it. I mean, I thought multiple times they could have just chucked it deep, but no, that's kind of the veteran lessons within them, just kind of, you know, working their way up the field. As you saw Gainey right there, just with a high release again to Weddle. It's just Simple as that.
Yeah, I think that's really key. I know that this side, they've played on a lot of very impressive teams over their ultimate career, but as a unit, as London Masters Ultimate, they're looking to come out here and compete for every point in every game as much as they can. I mean, as I suppose every team is, but for them, I think it really just means faith in their systems and knowing their players and trusting their skills and that their teammates are going to be able to get there for them. And when you have this depth of experience, I think it's something that you have more of a wealth of experience to pull on and are able to really know who's going to move where and trust that they're going to get there for you if you choose to put something out. And yeah, you just see that chemistry really coming to life.
Exactly, and as we talked about earlier, we spoke with the team just to kind of see what their goals were and just to go off of that. And that was a big one for them, just kind of getting that chemistry, working together, and just having that faith in them and just working for these future tournaments, but also grinding every point as well.
So Shout with the disc in the field here, received the pull from LMU, passing the disc over to number 2 for Shout, who's not on the roster, I'm afraid. Disc is far side, looking for the dump. A big throw upfield, but unfortunately there isn't anyone there to receive it, but a foul has been called on that throw, so it seems like there may have been contact from Nichols to Harris on that pass, and so the disc will come back. The disc is coming back after, I believe, a contested foul call. Oh no, uncontested. Disc coming in on 0. Okay. All right. Disc is in the middle of the field with Shout. A nice undercut there from Anna Chesky. Moving the disc over to number 2 for Shout. On the end zone line, or near the end zone line now, so going for a swing. Move it nicely across the field. And a fumble, but managed to come away with it just on the end zone line there, so not counted as in. Still going to have to make the next pass, or a couple passes to make sure that gets into the end zone for the score. Ooh. And unfortunately, they're not able to do that. I believe that's Anna Chesky there, who just wasn't able to hold on to that one, just came off her fingertips, I think. A little bit of a low pass.
And you can see Chesky with her hands in her face. She knew she should have had that one, but it was a little bit of an awkward pass coming up there. A little bit more mustard, I say, than you needed on that pass. Yeah,
so LMU now with the disc on the far end zone line, back in their own end zone, but confident they can move it along and swing across to Juan.
And look how they break the cup there. I mean, most teams, if you're in that position, you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to throw the Callahan. I don't want to become that highlight, but it's moving it up and down the field. It's pretty smooth.
Yeah, so Thompson in the middle now, moving it up to Juan, to Sharman. Sharman finds Dinsdale Young on the far sideline. Back into the middle to Huang. Looking, winds up, sees an open Nichols on this home sideline, nicely opening up the space there. Back to Thompson. Thompson looking into the end zone. Seeking an open cutter, nice in the middle to Claire Sharman. Sharman looking into the end zone, seeing where the space is. A nice dump pass to Burbage. Burbage with a nice fake and step around pass there. Back in the middle to Juan. LMU very comfortable to keep moving it within the handler space, keeping it moving, keeping Shout on their feet until an open pass comes up. Forward to Thompson. Thompson right on the end zone line now. Wow, an attempted block by Anna Chesky that Thompson manages to come down with, and then a great grab by Alice Dinsdale Young, who manages to touch it, stop the path of the disc, and then catch it on the second attempt. What? So a spicy few moments at that point there for LMU.
You said it. Oh my gosh, what concentration right there by Jenna Thompson. I mean, it looked like she just gave a turn on the end zone, but just to have that focus to re-catch it, I mean, look at this thing. Like, as you see right there, just the patience. Oh,
yeah, great awareness.
Right back to me.
Yep.
And that was so close by Chesky too. I know she's like, I had that one, especially since, kind of the drop. It looked like she had some redemption right there on the goal line, but just so close, but yet so far.
Yeah, that would be disappointing for Chesky that she didn't manage to come away with that block, particularly after not managing to to secure the point in the end zone for Shout just a few moments earlier. But excellent play by London Masters Ultimate, really calmly moving the disc through the handler positions, not feeling in a rush to move it into the end zone, swinging the disc from one side of the field to the other, trying to find that space, sort of inching forward and eventually finding that with Dinsdale Young in the back corner, who did a great job to hold on to it, despite the fact that there was a CUSB defender right on her shoulder. Alperin now holding the disc, ready to pull for London Masters Ultimate. And the score as it stands is currently 4 points to London Masters Ultimate and 2 points to CUSB Shout.
And as you can see here, too, with Shout, there's a little bit of worries right here. I mean, the game is still early. It's still in their reach, but a couple of breaks right there. The offense still looks to have those jitters. I mean, I expect them to kind of work that out, but as we see, too, they have to get the ship right, because if you give this London Masters team anything, they'll take it and go, as we've seen down the field.
Yeah, pull's gone up and received by Shout. Liana Saber with Shout with the disc, and unfortunately that pass just wasn't able to get to the player. It died a little bit too early. But now London Masters Ultimate in with a chance for a break. We've got number 44 on the disc, which is Kulikovska. Into the middle, Huang going to ground to secure that catch for LMU. Just swings to the home sideline with Gainey. Through to Alperin, a nice pop over to Kulikovska. Looking downfield, not seeing an option. No problem. Alperin is there with the dump pass. Moving the disc across between those two until they find a nice open Weddle, who's come under to receive that. Weddle looking and finds Huang in the middle. And an inside pass, like a very narrow channel there, but it was into a nice open space, and Gainey manages to catch that for the score.
And as you see right there by the cheeky inside throw by Lily Hong right there, to see her teammate in the end zone and just, oh my gosh, I mean, one of the things that I love is just a nice inside throw, and that was straight butter, as we call it. It's just, you put that, eat that all day. And as we saw right there too from the CUSB Shout team, a little miscommunication by Lena Schubert. As we saw last week when she was in the Vienna tournament, the Vienna Spring Break, she was running the show for Mention, and we expected a lot out of her too, but you know, it's just kind of, as a pickup player, you're trying to get into the team, you're trying to figure out everybody's style and flow, so we don't expect many of those, but she'll pick it up, everything like that. And right now we have the timeout kind of with these teams, as you can see, Shout discussing some things. I mean, that's 2 breaks. Breaks come in 2s, and you don't want that train rolling.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to be a fly on the wall in the Shout timeout right now. I think it's clear what the kind of the themes that they're going to be talking about. This is very much going to be a case of, you know, we know what we want to do here. We know what game we want to play. So let's make sure we're doing it. At the moment, I think that a lot of the Shout turnovers have kind of come from relatively like minor miscommunications or just like a few execution errors. That's well within their ability to control and to tighten up. So I think we know they want to come out firing. I think at the moment it's maybe just a little bit unfocused. But if they're able to kind of pull that together, they'll be able to get back into this game. I mean, it's 5-2 to London Masters Ultimate. They're going to be very happy with that scoreline as it stands, of course. For Shout, I think they're just really going to be thinking, this is still a game that we can compete in. This is definitely, this is not a team that gives up and drops their head. They will be getting fired up and thinking, what can we do? What changes can we make? How can we tighten up to get this scoreline back on track for their side?
Exactly, and as we talked with the coach too and the team, that was one of their goals, was more of kind of, you know, playing the best ultimate that they can at the moment, but then also taking the time when they see mistakes, correcting those mistakes, so that way they can keep protecting or keep playing that high-level ultimate and continue on with that. So as we see that much-needed timeout for them, just to kind of cool the jets, remember what they've taught, and just apply these lessons, and hopefully they can come out with a hold here, or if not, the game is quickly getting out of hand again. We don't want that break train rolling for London Masters.
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly useful exercise for them in their preparation for Worlds. You know, this game isn't going how they would have liked it to go to this point, but this exercise in what can we do, how can we recover, what can we control, and like what kind of team do we want to be? You know, do we want to show up and do we want to like fight for this game? And we know absolutely that they do. So hopefully they'll be able to use that timeout and the lessons of that timeout to really come out firing. Shout with the disc in the middle of the field. That's 39 Bonafonte. Disc has moved forward. Shout looking back for the pass over to Frangipane. A nice open space, finds a Shout player. Anna Chesky, of course, thank you very much. Oh, there's a stoppage on field. I think there was a little bit of contact between the offensive and defensive player there. We saw Nichols on the floor for a moment, and the Shout player is just making sure that she's all right.
Nice slap of the hands, get some sportsmanship in there, just kind of discussing some calls too. But as we've seen from the previous drives, the previous points, Shout can get it to that end zone, but it's the conversion rate that they need to kind of get in there. I mean, as we can see, they're moving it there, just getting a little bit more risk in the throws, so that way there's a little bit of wind picking up so they can make it a little bit crisp. Just watching the disc go into their hands and continue to complete that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so disc comes back in, and Shout move that disc forward confidently to number 19, Sofia Scazieri.
Ooh.
Anna Chesky goes to ground to catch that one, but secures it nicely for Shout. Looking forward, looking towards the end zone line, right on the doorstep now. LMU tight on their defense. There's very few options, and as we see there, they were not able to find an open player, and unfortunately what seemed to be quite a high stall throw turns over for Shout. But LMU now with a chance. It passes to Thompson, who looks for the huck but decides not to throw it, instead dumps to Nichols on the far sideline and down to Dinsdale Young. That disc goes a bit high, but that's no problem for LMU, who managed to come down with it. But there is I think just a little bit of contact downfield, no big deal, sort of a slap of the hands. And the disc will be coming back in, I think. Not sure what exactly the call was, maybe just contact downfield. Swings to Nichols in the middle. Nichols looking downfield, not seeing anything, looking for her dump. Puts the disc out into open space, which Thompson comes under to receive, and puts up the big throw. There is, unfortunately, another Shout player, number 19, Sofia Scazieri, was there off the back of the stack, I think poaching deep a little bit off of her player, and was just able to take those steps into the lane and get the block on that throw. So now it's Shout with possession, looking to move the disc downfield, and they've got the whole way to go.
Yes.
Frangipane with the disc, passes to Anna Chesky.
And here we even hear the Shout players on the sideline. They're getting into this game. They know exactly how important this game is, because you'd rather go up 3 to 4. Oh!
That's Dinsdale Young with the block there. Great read, great anticipation of the play. Looking to see if she can comes down with the disc. So that's bookends for Alice Dinsdale Young. An excellent anticipatory D there, seeing how the play was progressing, and just manages to come through on a static player and get that block, and then take off straight deep and receive a lovely long pass for the score.
And you can see there, she kind of interrupted me when I was talking about it. She said, no, Corey, what are you talking about? We don't want to make it 3-5. We want to make it 2-6. So just kind of having that awareness. I mean, this London Masters Ultimate team just kind of going through it. They look great on all fronts. The offense is smooth. You can't tell between the offense and the defense. That's how smooth their offense is. And then the defense is getting turns on both ways, and they're converting. I mean, again, Cubs asking some questions right here. We know their talent. We know the kind of excitement that they bring, but they got to dig deep right now if they want to keep getting in this game. Because, again, like we've been mentioning it before and before and before, this can really slip out of your hands. And you're playing high-level Ultimate, too, against a great team. You don't want to keep going down. Yeah,
it's something that they're working hard to keep themselves in this game, to keep their momentum. They're really hoping that they're able to change the momentum of the game, which currently is very fully with London Masters Ultimate. They're sort of dictating the pace of this game. They're really calmly and confidently ensuring that sort of the plays are going at the pace they want it to, and I think that for Shout, that's something that they really want to disrupt. But at the moment, London's Masters Ultimate are really dictating the pace of this game. Okay, Shout with the disc in the middle of the field here, moving it forward.
Looks like Benji.
A big pass goes up, looking for number 20. Unfortunately, unable to reel that in. devastation on her face there as she didn't bring that catch down, and Huang for London Masters Ultimate picks up the disc. Swings back to Alperin. Forward to Weddle. High stall pass there, lots of pressure from Shout, and they're able to get that turn, that interception. Number 23, moving the disc forward. On the end zone line now, Shout looking to see if they can move it in, but at the moment, happy to pass it around the back. Oh my goodness.
Oh my
that
goodness.
will be a big frustration, She falls to her knees in frustration, but London Masters Ultimate back with the disc now.
As you can see, they're moving it down the line too. This is not what they wanted. For Lagala to get that D first for Cup Shout, and then immediately to go back on defense is it's hard.
It's hard. It's as we said, the momentum at the moment has been with LMU, but unfortunately, a big backhand throw from Huang there. Saw a lot of space, put the disc out, but it wasn't quite the connection they were looking for. It was a little bit too far ahead of Bevan, who was unable to get there and make that catch, and it sort of perhaps came a little bit over her head in the end. So I think perhaps that wasn't quite the shape that they were looking for. But now this gives Shout the disc back, and then now back in with the chance to score this point after a few close but disappointing moments for them.
And this is what Shout wants to, and this is kind of exactly what I was expecting from them, to come out to the person-to-person defense, to change it up, and just not seeing that the cup worked, but changing that defense and getting some turns that they need.
Big pass goes up. Who's able to come down with it. That's Bengi, number 29. Dumps to number 32, Lagala, and puts the disc out into space, where Bengi is able to go and collect that comfortably for the score. So Shout will be very happy with that. They came close a few times. They'll be very, very happy to finally get that point and get that point on the board. It takes the scoreline to, I believe, 3-6.
Yeah, and you see Benji getting up there, using her full extension, kind of going there. And the player of the point for me right there was Carmen Lagala. Just as you saw, she got the first turn and then just working in that end zone set for the first time and unsuccessfully not getting rewarded for that, but continuing to go with the play and then getting the assist right there too. Again, Shout using their athleticism to their advantage, using that speed, that pace that they have, and just kind of that excitement and passion to get that turn, get the break, and let's see if they can convert it again, because they need to start rattling up soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're seeing the Shout coach come on between each point and have a quick chat with them a couple times, maybe testing the limits of how long they're actually supposed to be prepping the line. He's been swift this time though, so I'm sure that's fine. But I think each time just maybe repeating that message that you've picked up on of, you know, this is our game. We want to be in this game. We need to tighten up, and we need to use what we have in our arsenal. And
as you said, Rachel, too, you want to make sure not to use too much time, because you only have 60-minute games, and so if you use that time and have to make sure you don't get down, get there.
Beautiful pull from Shout, which has LMU right at the back of their own end zone. We've got Nichols with the disc here under a lot of pressure from the Shout defense. Mafti with a lovely pass out to this home sideline to Sharman, who's looking downfield. And unfortunately not able to complete that pass. That amazing pull, the deep pull, and then hot defense from Shout has them back with the disc and in with the score, and Echesky for the score. And that pass came in from number 17, Loli.
As you can see there, Scazzarini just kind of getting that D for Shout right there and allowing them to have that short field to work. And the pull, as you mentioned before, that was a great pull. I mean, it pinned them back there too. We were on Callahan alert. And just, that's what we need. As I mentioned before, breaks come in twos, and that's 2 breaks that Shout needed extensively. So they're going to be looking to capitalize on that. And London Masters just taking their time, just being like, okay, you know, we've kind of given some breaks back. We still have some time in this game. Let's play what we know, take it easy, and just work within our offense. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the point before wasn't pretty, but they got the job done for Shout. This point was probably exactly what they're looking to play. The pull was exemplary, right to the back of the end zone, stayed in bounds, pushed LMU to receive it at the back. The defense was already there. The pull gave them plenty of time to get down there. The defense was there, and they were tight. They gave them very, very few options, and it came up with within a few passes, there was a turn. Shout got the disc back, and were able to quickly secure that score. So 2 breaks for them, and very much what they're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay, Alprin receiving the disc for LMU, passes over to Huang.
That's Polkin
Looking
right there.
downfield, Weddle with the disc. Gainey with the disc in the middle of the field, looking downfield. A little pass over the top to Huang, who looks deep. Sees Weddle, unable to come down with it, but Bevan is there to back her up. So that's a LMU score, and that's Huang to Bevan.
And I've just been kind of mesmerized right now by Lily Huang's just ability to throw it anywhere. She has every throw in her arsenal, and so we can see another deep shot right there. And even if it didn't get exactly to her target, just having that focus by Bevan to say, it's going a little bit, the wind's picking up, I'm going to keep focus on the disc and get the point. And just easy as you like it.
Yeah, it's always great when there's a kind of maybe a slight miscommunication, or perhaps the throw doesn't come off quite as intended, and you see it sail over your head, but you turn around and you see your teammate well positioned to receive it, and in that case get the score. So a little bit of team effort there to come down with that, but that's another LMU score, which takes the score line to 7 points to London Masters Ultimate and 4 points to Shout.
And with Shout there too, it's just you're gritty, you're shaking, you're just a little bit just antsy for that one because you were so close to getting the D there. It was great defense and it was so close, but the throw the wind kind of took it over her head, and then it just unluckily that's when you got to keep your focus and mark your person just to make sure that you had them. I mean, because once those lapses come, that's where kind of other teams thrive and get more points, and that's essentially the name of the game. Just whoever has more points at the end of the game wins the game. So
yeah, that's profound.
I am a little bit of a scholar, I'd say.
LMU with the pull here. It's coming to the sideline, but it does land in the field. So Shout taking it from that far side, swinging to Frangipang in the middle. And they've got a open Julia Harris on this home sideline who receives the disc, looking downfield. Down to Bengi. Looking in the middle, back to Harris, but intercepted. Brilliant awareness by Kulikovska. London Masters Ultimate with the disc. Centers it to Huang. Moves to Thompson. In the middle to Kulikovska. Big put up. Sharman. Oh, goodness. Sharman, you could see her not able to see where the disc was coming in there. It was sort of over her back shoulder, and she sort of turned to try and read it, wasn't able to catch it, but that Shout defensive play there looked like it might be about to keep it in play and in the end zone, but thankfully for Shout, they were able to get enough source on it for it to go out the back of the end zone, and now it's Shout coming in with the disc and looking for the opportunity to score.
And Picatti right there, just getting the great D that you need, but you do have to be careful. You want to catch those Ds because it almost came into Sharman's grasp.
Yeah, big immediate look deep there from Shout, which unfortunately hasn't worked for them. Not sure if that throw is just a little bit too shallow, or if perhaps there was a bit of a miscommunication there with the cutters, but either way, LMU able to come in, read that well, and get the block. So now the disc is in the middle of the field with Huang, goes to Thompson. That throw probably didn't come out quite how she'd intended. A floaty one from Thompson to Sharman, which is unable to be brought in. Strong defensive interception by number 15, Pankoti.
That's another one too. That's two D she's had this point.
Yeah, Pankoti, it feels like she's positioning herself well against her in her matchups, and she's on their shoulders. But I think maybe to some extent is sort of giving a little bit of baiting. You know,
yeah.
she's making them look open, but she's there to try and get that defensive effort. That was a big pass down the sideline for Shout, and then across the field into the back corner of the end zone. That was Frangipang looking for
Julia Harris right there, it looks
Julia
like.
Harris, yes, you're right. Unfortunately, that wasn't quite able to connect. I think the disc was actually moving away from Harris as she went into the end zone. That backhand option was perhaps not ideal for someone running into the end zone from that angle. So unfortunately, that is a 10 for Shout, and LMU are now back on their end zone line with the disc. Quite a high turnover point that we're looking at here, but I think that's just a testament to how much each team is really hustling for it. And LMU, we now see with the disc on the far sideline. Huang has got the disc. Not seeing an open dump, but Kulikovska comes in for the reset in the middle. Over this side to Sharman. Sharman on the home side with the disc. To Burbage and back to Huang. LMU comfortably moving it around the handlers before they find that Thompson in the middle. Dumped to Huang, back to Thompson. And the disc goes up. Sharman found a little bit of space deep. And a massive athletic leaping grab by Claire Sharman for the score. A lovely play by LMU.
Oh, she got up there. I mean, geez. It looked just like a kangaroo bounce out of there. Oh my goodness, I'm still kind of infatuated by the point. But as we saw, that whole matchup, that was great person-to-person defense by both teams on there. And the matchup we really like to see was, I guess as you can say, the score, Sharman and Bakjati kind of getting that as well too, just kind of matching up until the end when Frajapan kind of took it. Maybe it was a switch or anything along those lines. But again, that London Masters team just working it down the field, continuously flowing and just looking for the deep bombs. They have the athletic players right there and just tossing it for the score. I mean, it's a thing of beauty to watch.
Yeah, amazing play by Claire Sharman. As we did say at the beginning, like, we know that she's an athletic player, and I think she's really proven that so far this game. I think I've played with Jenna Thompson before, and there's a moment there where I saw her receive the disc, and I can see Claire Sharman with that step of separation, and I can see the look in Jenna's eyes, the look in Jenna Thompson's eyes, you just know it's going to go. She's going to throw that every single time. You know, Sharman set up that cut, had the separation, and that throw had to go, and it was just beautifully executed. Massive catch by Claire Sharman.
And as a commentator too, that's what I love to see. I mean, once you get that little glimmer of the eye, like you just described, once you see it, catch it, boom, it's like there's nothing better there. Pitch and catch, it's all day.
Yep. So Alperin now with the pull for LMU. It's caught and moved quickly to number 32, Lagala. Looking for that up the line pass to number 23. Some sort of call on field. Is that, I think, perhaps a foul call coming in on 0, I think, from the hand signal. So maybe uncontested foul call there. Swinging the disc around the back.
And as we can see here too, just Cubs really working with their handler set, it looks like, and then they throw a deep ball downfield, hanging a little bit. Looks like Shechki just kind of coming up in the back, outmaneuvering everybody for the score right there. But as we saw within that point, just between Lagala, Lali, and another one of those kind of cusp handlers just working and maneuvering it until they got that deep shot. I mean, that thing kind of hung up there, but as we saw, you believe in your players, and Chesty just kind of waiting it out and jumping above the rest of them to get the score.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the wind is picked, like, there isn't much wind to speak of, but I think there is a little bit more than there was perhaps in their first game. And that deep pass went quite high, and I wonder if that's sort of what kept it sitting up a little bit longer than I think would have been originally intended. But yeah, the disc comes down in the end zone, and again, as we mentioned at the beginning, just the nature of these different teams and their different playing styles, those sort of maybe ends up being somewhat speculative, but like it becomes down to who's going to jump highest, who's going to work hardest, and who's going to get their bodies underneath it. And that's something that Shout are definitely going to be working hard to make sure that they come away with that disc. The number of white shirts as that came down definitely outnumbered the number of dark shirts. So they want those scores. They want to be coming down with anything that's available to them, and they did well to make sure they secured that in the mass of people and came away with that score. Another great pull there from Siebert. LMU able to move it quickly though, not getting caught in the end zone this time. Alperin with a immediate huck to Claire Sharman, which she's not able to come down to that time. Shout with the disc now. We're looking at Lagala on the far sideline, looking for her dump. She's got number 13, who's Passed over to Loli. Loli passes through the middle. Has to go low to get that catch, but comes away with it. Moving along the front of the end zone now, and then a casual toss over the top to Lagala in the end zone for the score.
And we're Shout, that's what you kind of want to, just to kind of maneuver it down the field. Again, don't have any problems, no scares. This is what we know they're capable of, just kind of trusting within their throws, catches, and just using the fundamentals to their advantage. And right now, they're only down by 2. I mean, still about 18 minutes left in the game before the cap goes off, so they have time, and if they can use the time and they can use that energy to kind of recoup some points. A big needed break right here, but London Masters aren't going to make it easy for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shout have been on a little bit of a run. So we've seen coming away with a few points to kind of catch up against the LMU. LMU have this will be their third point in a row where they haven't managed to score. This is one of those moments where LMU sort of need to make the decision about whether they want to allow Shout to take the momentum of the game, which I think up until this point has been very much in their side. Shout are definitely working their hardest to achieve that, and they're putting in great effort. So I think it's up to LMU to see how they respond, see if they can get themselves back in the game and shift back to their side. A low fast pull comes in from Shout and received by Nichols to Mafti. Moved into the middle. Big throw goes up for Juan, but it looks like it's going to be too far.
Polka just had a little bit too much mustard on that throw.
Yeah, there was a lot of space there, but unfortunately that was perhaps just a touch ambitious. So now Shout are looking at an opportunity for another break, which would get them within 1. And we know they want it, so we're just gonna have to see if they're able to hold their offense against the LMU pressure.
And literally here too, you can hear the Shout team shouting on the sidelines to get this break because we know exactly how much is important for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, is not able to complete that second pass. Juan for LMU now into Weddle. Swings to Nichols, loses a few yards, but they've got a lot of space. Across to Juan. Puts a fake in. Manages to get the disc, gains a few yards to Nichols. Ooh. Oh. There's a call there. I think that looked like a strip call. I think there was a catch, and then the defense managed to come through and knock the disc out of her hands, but the throw had already been caught, I think. So that looks like a quickly resolved strip call.
Uncontested too, yeah.
Yeah.
But that one isn't.
Yeah, straight in with the defense. And a very deep player there, but unfortunately, not able to get the depth on the huck needed to reach that player. Cheska Weddle got the defense there, looked for a moment like she was maybe about to, again, keep the disc alive for the other team, but was able to get that to ground and get that turnover for London Masters Ultimate.
And that one too, in my mind, I thought the shot should have came a little bit earlier. She had her open down the field, but it looks like it was just thrown a little too late and it let Weddle recover to get that D.
Gainey in the middle of the field with the disc now to Weddle. Weddle to Mafti. Mafti who secures the catch. Down to Polican. Back to Juan. A deep shot, unfortunately, no one was there, and the Shout player is able to go and clean that up.
It looked like a miscommunication between Hong and Ford right there, as Ford was going to continue, but stopped the cut.
Chesky, a reaching low grab, looks up for the long option, but decides not to take it and has them come under. That's Sofia Scazieri. That's now moved down the sideline. CUSB now within a distance to start moving into the end zone, but are going to see where their open options are. Bengi to
Julia Harrison. Looks like it was just a little bit too low right at her feet.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Putting in a big effort to try and catch that, but not able to come down with it, and timeout is called. Quite a few turnovers in this point. We're seeing a big effort from both sides, and perhaps a little bit of haste on some of the options. I think that a few of the long looks that we've seen have maybe just been somewhat speculative and not necessarily to a cut that they're actually seeing in motion, and maybe more like what they would like to be seeing.
Exactly, and LMU right there too. It looks like they're just trying to, again, we've seen some kind of questionable hucks that we haven't seen from them recently. It looks like maybe the legs and the fatigue is kind of kicking in. It's getting hotter out here. They don't have as much depth as CUSB do, so it's kind of affecting them right there, maybe getting the quick points off. But it was a smart timeout to call right here to get some energy, talk it through, because this is an important point. I mean, we can swing it either to a 1-point or a 3-point deficit, depending on which team decides to score.
Yeah, definitely. This feels like it might be a sort of a pivotal point for the momentum of this game. London Masters Ultimate, with fewer players on their rosters, they're looking at the lists here, we're by a good margin, the Shout team have a significantly higher number of players, which means significantly fresher legs across the board.
Exactly.
So that's going to be something that's in the London Masters Ultimate. That's in their minds, but ultimately they know how to do this. That this is, as we've said, a really experienced side. They want to make sure that they're coming out after this timeout confident in what they're doing and able to dictate the pace of the game, as I think they've done at different points throughout this game, but perhaps not so much in the last couple of points.
And greatly said too, as you can see with the legs too. A big shout out this point in particular to Polina Dole. She's been moving and grooving, going down the field, sprinting, getting Ds, and just kind of working her way through. But that's, again, the kind of advantage you have when you have that depth, to put in fresh players, to play in new players that are hungry for some opportunities. So we can see here, it looks like Lily Huang just looking around. LMU offense just getting set up.
Yeah, the offense is set, so now the defense is able to come in and set up against the offense. It looks like we've got a horizontal stack from LMU. Looking to isolate a player in the middle of the field. Unfortunately not able to find that player, but able to move the disc to Huang in the middle and then across to Gainey. Move the dump pass back to Nichols. A big play on the defense, but unable to get that block. Swings across to Huang. We have a Shout poach, which becomes very effective. Anna Chesky there, coming off of her player just to stand in that lane for a moment, and reading that really well, able to come and get that defense. Number 23 moves the disc across to Bengi. Bengi on the front of the end zone line and has a very free player in the form of...
Looks like Julia Harris again, just kind of getting free, but it looks like also a pick call in the end zone. So I think they're going to contest it, maybe see that if she did have that space. I think Huang is saying, no, I kind of got it early. And if they can't agree to this, then this just goes back.
Yeah. Discussing whether that's a pick call and perhaps like what, who it goes back to and how they reset.
You don't want to spend too much time on this call either, because time is becoming of an essence right now. You want to get as much time as possible so that way you can stay within this game, because, easy peasy,
no problem.
Squeezy right there.
No problem for Shout. They decisively act after that call. If they say to LMU, if there's a call on this score, then we'll just score again. No problem.
And it gives them enough time too, as you can see, just Benji with the disc, kind of thinking about some options, maybe even a little communication with Jessie right there to say, look at this cut, we have some time. You can see them making eye contact right now. And that's what you do. I mean, your teammates, you just kind of have that instinctual flow and just know-how. And right there was the first of the cone and a score for CUS.
Yeah, I think coming out of a play like that, when there's been a call, and you're sort of setting up and you have the disc in your hands and you see the kind of the play resetting to where it needs to be for the disc to come back in. When you see one of your teammates already set, and you already see their position, and you just manage to catch their eye, it does create those opportunities where by nature of the stoppage, you just are able to have that clarity of what you want to do next. And yeah, that was really well executed by Shout. Very decisive way to put that point in. We have another pull coming in. Lena Schubert, who's had excellent pulls all game, and this is another one of those, comes to the front of the end zone and sent it to Thompson. Moves across to Mafty. Through the middle to Dinsdale Young, to Mafty. Then across to Kulikovska.
So we can see here too, Shout is just getting that intensity back. They're working hard on defense, just laying everything out. They know how important this is. And a shot downfield to Bevan right there. Oh my goodness, she had a little bit of separation, but used it to her full extent to use that full end zone to catch in the back.
Yeah, so I think Thompson received that disc in the middle of the field, looked up, saw Bevan with a little bit of separation, but also there was quite a lot of lateral separation. So her defender was not only just maybe a step or two under her, but was also a little bit wide. So I think Thompson saw the space there really nicely and managed to get a disc that went and flew around the defender basically and sat out in the space behind where the defender was positioned, which gives Bevan an amazing line for that and makes that quite challenging for the defense.
And I was about to say, that look probably gave me some flashbacks too back when she used to be your teammate, just to kind of have that connection. And you know she can let that thing fly. That's what LMU does. They let it fly, they let it sink, and just kind of know where they're going to be in that space. And they have the throws to make that, as we see right there to the score to Bevan.
Yeah, absolutely. Those connections, they come with time.
Yeah.
And yeah, time and trust, which this team seems to have had in abundance. Alperin with a hand up, and the pull goes up.
What a pull.
Yeah, lands just in front of the sideline and rolls out as they take it straight from the sideline, moving the disc, seeking to move the disc quickly, although I believe there's a call there. Well, I think that may have been a...
I think it's a travel, it looks like. Maybe.
Yeah, a travel call. Disc is in, resolved reasonably swiftly, and disc is in. Moves to the far sideline.
Oh.
Under a lot of pressure there from Sharman, who I'm not sure if she actually got a hand to it, but manages to come away with the turnover at least, if not the defense. Unclear on that one. Alperin picks up the disc. Looking for Thompson. Thompson goes up the line, and that goes out into space for Sharman under. Across to Weddle. Weddle looking in the middle, not seeing any options. To Thompson. And then an excellent read on defense there. Manages just to be in the end zone with a different player, I believe, Bengi. And just read that play really well, managed to step in and just get that line for the defense. Gainey working hard to see if they can get it, if she can get it on the second effort, but unfortunately that one goes out, and now Shout have the disc.
And right here is on the replay too, so you can see just kind of the layout D right there, kind of starting everything to go. And Bengi, again, at the end of that point, just following the turn too, because you want to make sure the offense doesn't catch that for a score. Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of pressure from the LMU defense here. Disc is on the far sideline with CUSB Shout.
Looks like a little miscommunication there too.
Unsure of who that was intended for, but it's a turnover for LMU, who are now back with the disc. Sharman moving it to Burbage and looking to see if they can press downfield. Thompson in the middle. Alperin in space. Looking for Gainey again in that same corner, same receiver, this time managing to secure the score.
And what a cheeky throw too, just to use her body to get all the way down to break the mark and then find Gainey. Like, it's just textbook right there. And that's what we're seeing a lot from this LMU offense. And always my motto too is just the first one to the cone wins. And as you can see right there, she's going to be the first one to the cone, Gainey, and boom, makes it a little bit easier right there. So that way Alperin can find her inside in the window.
Yeah, it's a small window there that Alperin was throwing into. That's the sort of an inside break where she's stepping around her mark to throw down that sort of middle section behind the person on the force, and that was right up against the sideline. So the window was small, but the cutter was free. And when you've got the skills and you know that you've got that throw, you're comfortable to put it out there, which Alperin absolutely is comfortable doing, and as was just evidenced.
And even just to touch on that point too, as Alperin was breaking the mark, I was looking in the back of the stack, and just Gainey having that awareness to see one of her teammates come back after the failed cut, and just to realize, all right, I have the step, my defender's not looking really at the disc, they're looking more at me, I can take that step and use that to my advantage to be the first one there. And as you can see, that benefits for them for the score.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the scoreline now is 10-7. 10-7. So LMU's protecting their points advantage there, and not letting Shout come within one, as we know that they're fighting to recover that ground. Mafti with the pull. Received by Shout, move to number 23. That pass went quite low, and the question now is whether Marchesini was able to catch that before that hit the ground. I think there's some question there on field about whether that disc was actually down and touching the ground before the catch was made.
And even though it happened right in front of this, I can't even make a decision. We don't have the best angle, it looks like, but looks like they're consulting the sidelines right now to see, and it looks like the LMU sideline is saying that it was down, so they're just going to believe it. Great sportsmanship right there, just to believe in the calls.
Yeah,
and that's what you love to see.
It's challenging when it's close like that. I mean, from my perspective, I thought that might be down, but it's always really hard to tell on field, and obviously that's where the decision needs to be made. So great spirit there from Shout to consult the sideline when they weren't sure and to take the word for it.
Just a little high. Ooh.
Yeah. Pass goes over its intended receiver, but picked up by Kulikowska comfortably to protect the possession. Oh, and unlucky there. Pops out of Bevan's hands and just gets picked up a little bit by a breeze, I think. And she was unable to come down with it. But there seems to be a call.
And I think it looked like a foul call right before the throw. So it'll be interesting to see what they want, or what I guess they elect to do, because it looks like Lily Huang just kind of got hit right before it looks like that disc came out of their hands for the turn. But as we see here, this is kind of where the heat is starting to affect you. You get hit a little bit, it's going to hurt a little bit more. And for LMU, this is a big player injury right here. I mean, they all are. You hope she's okay, but this is one of their players, their star handlers right here, so we hope she's okay.
Yeah, very unfortunate for one. She's obviously a massive part of the handler set for this team, and a very sort of decisive player on field. Hopefully, it's just a little soreness, little twitch, little something that can be walked off on the sideline. Particularly for LMU, you know, they haven't got a huge roster, as we've already said. So important that they keep the players they have. The turnover stands, and the disc gets moved quickly to Anicheski, who looks long, puts the disc up. And Bevan's able to position and just box out, keep that offensive player from receiving the disc.
And it was close to Marchesini almost had it right there. I thought she did, but Bevan coming up clutch.
Yeah, it was a close call, but she used her physical positioning really well there to just ensure that she didn't have a good option on the disc. And that's Dinsdale Young with a big forehand to Bevan, who unfortunately, it just pops out of her fingertips again. And I think under the pressure from the Shout player Marchesini, was unable to come down with that one.
And Marchesini just said, don't give up right now. She's like, you took mine away, I'm going to take yours away. What a clutch G right there to give Shout a little bit more of advantage. And Dahl with the deep look. Oh my gosh, that thing is floating. Wow.
That was an unbelievable pass. The sit on that huck was unreal. That's a massive score for Shout. Beautiful, beautiful play.
You see Kulikowska there even too, giving her an applaud on the mark. I mean, everybody on the sideline, players included on the field, were in awe with that thing. That was perfection. That was a painting. You can hang that up in the Louvre right there.
Absolutely. When that wwent up, I thought it was too far.
I thought
it was going to be too far for Anicheski to manage to get there and to come down with. But Chesky hustled down there, to her credit, kept pushing. She trusted, she believed. And that throw was weighted absolutely perfectly.
Oh my goodness, the throw by Paulina Dahl right there just left us in awe. That was a nice way to kind of end it, but it looks like
the end of the game is here. I wasn't aware of the time cap going.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's an oversight from us here in the commentary booth. But yeah, so that marks the end of this showdown between London Masters Ultimate and CUSB Shout. London Masters Ultimate coming away with the win, 10-8, in an upset, a seeding upset, which is going to shake up the pool, I think, significantly. But thank you so much for tuning in and watching this game. The stream will be open. We've got more games to follow, so please keep tuning in and send us a message to tell us how we're doing. But yeah, I'm Rachel Douglas here with
Corey So Straight. I'm here too. It's been working with you.
Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.